Okay, so maybe you're standing in a room in your house right now, looking around and thinking, if I ripped all this out, what would it cost? And maybe more importantly, how much would I actually get back for it? Well, if that sounds like you, then this deep dive is definitely what you need. Today we're diving deep into home remodeling projects, but we're going to set aside the beautiful pictures in magazines for just a minute. Our focus today is pure finance, maximizing your return on investment, your ROI. You're here because you want the hard numbers, right? To make smart choices about where you spend your renovation dollars. And we've dug through the research to try and find some, well, definitive answers.
Exactly. We're looking past what's just trendy right now and focusing on what's actually profitable. Our mission here is to pull out the specific percentages, the key comparisons, and the actionable advice that really defines a smart investment. Basically, when you spend a dollar on your home, which projects are reliably going to give you that dollar back, or maybe even more, when you sell?
And what we found is that the ROI, it varies a lot. It depends on the scale of the project, where you live, even, believe it or not, the type of door you pick. So we'll look at the big indoor value drivers, kitchens and baths, then move outside to curb appeal, efficiency upgrades, and finally, adding space. Let's just get straight into the numbers.
Okay, first things first. Let's unpack ROI in this remodeling context. It sounds simple, but getting it right is, well, crucial. Essentially, it's the financial gain, right? Calculated as the increase in your home's value minus what the renovation actually cost you.
Right. And you need a benchmark if you're planning something, like what's a good return. Generally, anything between, say, 50% and 100% is considered pretty successful for remodeling. So if you spend $20,000, you'd hope to see your home value jump by at least $10,000. The research consistently points to, for example, an average kitchen remodel returning up to maybe 80% of its cost.
Okay, 80% sounds great, but the reports we looked at really hammered home the variability. That number isn't fixed, is it?
Yeah.
Why does ROI depend so much on geography? Well, it really boils down to local market demand and what buyers in that specific area prefer. It's huge. You really can't ignore this variability factor. We see it super clearly with bathroom renovations. Okay, say you do a standard bathroom reno in the West, average ROI, around 70%. But move that same project to the Northeast, and the average drops to maybe 65%. And down South, you might be looking closer to 60%. It just shows that relying on national averages can be a bit misleading. You got to know your local market.
Those regional differences are really interesting. Okay, let's zoom in on kitchens. The industry always calls them the heart of home value. Now, my gut feeling says, bigger budget, bigger return, but the data comparing minor updates versus major overhauls, it seems kind of counterintuitive.
It really is. And honestly, this might be the most critical financial takeaway from this whole deep dive. Let's look at the specific numbers we found. A minor kitchen update, that's more like a refresh, costing around $10,000. On average, it yields about a 70% ROI. Pretty good. Now, compare that to a major overhaul. Average cost jumps way up to $50,000. But the ROI, it actually drops slightly to around 65%.
Wait, hold on. So spending 5 times the money gets you a lower percentage return? That just feels wrong. Doesn't a massive overhaul make the home way more luxurious and therefore more valuable?
Well, yes, it looks more luxurious. But here's the thing. Buyers focus on functionality, a modern feel, cleanliness. They generally aren't willing to pay top dollar for dollar for really high-end custom luxury features, the professional ranges or imported Italian tile. They want a beautiful space, sure, but mostly one that's move-in ready and feels updated. So the smarter focus tends to be on cost-effective improvements that give you the most bang for your buck visually. We're talking about things like updating cabinet hardware, maybe painting the cabinets, putting in new countertops, or even resurfacing old ones, or swapping out appliances for energy-efficient models. These changes totally transform the look and feel. But because you're limiting the big structural stuff, the cost-to-value ratio is much better. That's how you hit that 70% return.
Wow, okay. That's a huge distinction. Makes sense. So if the kitchen's the heart, then bathrooms are, the essential arteries. Let's talk bathroom renovations. Smaller spaces, but sounds like they can offer pretty big returns too.
Scope definitely matters here as well. The reports consistently show master bathrooms are seen differently by buyers. They're viewed more as a luxury feature, which drives a higher ROI, usually somewhere between 60% and 70%. Secondary bathrooms, still decent, but they tend to fall more to the 50% to 60% range. So if you have to pick one to upgrade first for financial reasons, the master bath is probably your best bet.
Okay, so same strategy as the kitchen then. Focus on high-impact, budget-friendly updates that modernize the look.
Exactly that. Simple swaps can make a world of difference. Think new, water-efficient fixtures, faucets, shower heads, toilets, big visual upgrade, plus the eco-friendly angle,
Hmm.
maybe refreshing tired or, chip tile, and lighting. Seriously, improving the lighting, maybe with new vanity lights or some LED strips, it just drastically changes the whole vibe without needing major construction.
And what about those luxury features? If you do decide to splurge a bit, which ones actually tend to pay off at resale?
The ones that create that genuine spa-like feel seem to resonate. Heated floors are a big one. Major comfort factor. Huge selling point, especially if you're in a colder climate. Rainfall shower heads, definitely. And if the budget works, using high-end, durable finishes like marble or granite countertops, it just elevates the space from purely functional to desirable.
All right, let's head outside. We've covered the inside, but that first impression, curb appeal, it's got to be crucial, right? When a buyer drives up, the exterior is the first thing they see. It hooks them or it doesn't. So what exterior structural projects tend to give you a good return?
Yeah, you want to focus on things that boost efficiency and looks at the same time. Siding replacement is often a winner. It hits multiple points. Better energy efficiency, looks fresh, which boosts curb appeal and adds durability. Window replacement is the other really big one.
Ah, windows. Let's pause there because you found some specific ROI figures, and the difference between window types was kind of surprising.
Yeah, we did find numbers for two common types. If you install standard double-hung windows, the ROI is pretty healthy, about 70% to 80%.
Uh-huh.
But if you opt for casement windows, the ones that crank out, they generally seal better and look more modern. Well, the ROI actually climbs higher, maybe 75% to 85%. It's a small detail, but it shows how even technical specs can translate into perceived value.
Okay, so beyond those big structural jobs, what about simpler curb appeal things, the stuff that doesn't need a huge construction crew?
Oh yeah, don't underestimate the entry points. Updating your front door is huge. It's literally the face of the house. Same goes for the garage door. If it looks dated or dinged up, it drags down the whole impression. And then landscaping. Doesn't have to be like award-winning gardens. But a well-kept lawn, some nice flowers, maybe a few healthy trees, that basic tidiness and care really enhances attractiveness.
Now let's connect value directly to savings, energy-efficient upgrades. These are interesting because they pay you back while you live there, right?
Yeah,
Lower utility bills long before you even think about selling.
it's like a double benefit. Key upgrades here. Replacing an old HVAC system is a big one. Look for a high SEER rating unit. And SEER, just quickly, that's seasonal energy efficiency ratio. Higher number means more efficient cooling, less energy waste. And don't forget the lower cost, high return stuff, good insulation, especially in the attic, and weatherproofing. Seriously, finding and sealing air leaks around windows, doors, outlets. It's cheap, often DIY-able, and cuts down energy loss significantly. That's a selling point.
What about the really big ticket items in this category, like solar panels? Huge upfront costs there.
Absolutely. The upfront cost is significant, no doubt. But the long-term savings on electricity bills can be substantial. And what the sources really emphasize is that solar panels attract a very specific and growing group of buyers. These eco-conscious buyers often are willing to pay a premium because they value that sustainability and the future savings.
Okay, let's shift gears to adding actual square footage. Adding significant living space. This is where the costs can really skyrocket, but I guess the potential value added to the home also goes way up.
It does. But planning is absolutely critical here. Maybe the most popular strategy is finishing your basement. You can often recover up to 70% of the cost. But the key word the research stressed was versatile. Buyers want it to feel like usable space, an extra bedroom, maybe an entertainment area, a home office, not just a finished dungeon. Attic conversions also have high ROI potential, but uh, they have to be done right. Properly insulated, ventilated, and crucially, they must meet all the local building codes for living space. And then there's building entirely new rooms or adding a whole wing. That obviously has the biggest impact on overall value, but it's also the most expensive and disruptive route by far.
Extending the footprint doesn't always mean building walls, though. Let's touch on outdoor living spaces. Yeah, the quick wins here seem to be things like deck and patio additions. They instantly give you more usable outdoor space, they enhance curb appeal, and yeah, they can offer a pretty significant ROI, especially if you use good quality, durable materials.
And we're definitely seeing huge demand for more sophisticated stuff, like full outdoor kitchens and dedicated entertainment areas. If you go that route, the focus has to be on quality and durability. Use weather-resistant materials that will last. Think about proper lighting. It needs to be functional, but also create ambiance. And ventilation is key if you've got grills or cooktops out there. I do want to add a little cautionary note here about pools and water features. They might look fantastic, but financially, they can often be more of a liability. The upfront cost is high, sure, but it's the ongoing maintenance that can really scare buyers off. Before you commit to a pool, you have to be really honest about your local climate. Is the swimming season super short? And look around your neighborhood. If nobody else has pools, adding one might not be seen as an asset, maybe more like a chore.
Yeah, that's the tricky part, isn't it? Balancing the enjoyment you get versus the potential resale headache or cost. Okay, so pulling all this amazing data together, what's the single biggest factor for actually maximizing that ROI? The research seemed to point again and again towards working with a professional contractor.
Absolutely. That professional guidance, it's kind of the bridge between having a good idea and actually executing it profitably. Experienced pros bring, first off, expert knowledge of local building codes and regulations. That alone can save you from incredibly costly mistakes. They have established networks, reliable subs, quality suppliers, often getting better pricing than a homeowner could. And maybe most importantly, they have the experience to anticipate problems, mitigate issues that could totally derail your budget and timeline. They protect that ROI you're aiming for,
Okay, so for anyone listening who's maybe about to start interviewing contractors, what are the absolute must-ask questions, like a quick checklist based on what we've discussed?
right? Based on maximizing value and avoiding pitfalls, I'd say three things are crucial. One, can they provide references from previous clients who did similar projects and actually call them? Two, what's their specific process for handling changes to the project scope? Because let's be real, changes almost always happen. You need a clear process up front. And three, how exactly do they ensure and document full compliance with all the local building codes and permit requirements? Getting solid answers to those three gives you a lot more confidence that the project will be done right, both physically and financially.
This has been super clarifying. So it sounds like the smartest financial moves aren't always the biggest ones. It's about prioritizing things like those minor kitchen updates for the best percentage return, focusing on the master bath for that premium feel, and really leveraging exterior curb appeal with high ROI choices like good windows and updated doors.
It's exactly. That critical balance for long-term value really comes down to smart planning and solid execution. Understanding the potential ROI helps you prioritize effectively. You can choose those affordable improvements that really boost function and visual appeal without overspending. Look, renovation is always an investment, right? But a well-planned one, executed professionally, that's when it becomes a really savvy financial move.
Okay, that leaves us with our final provocative thought for you, the listener, to chew on. We've established that minor updates often yield a better ROI percentage than huge, major overhauls. So how should that knowledge the balance between achieving aesthetic perfection, maybe that dream space you see in magazines, and the pragmatic financial return? How should that influence the way you set your next renovation budget? Something to think about as you start getting those quotes. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.